I have to watch my shoulder as a counselor, as a servant of this country in Britain for my residents. I have to watch my shoulder because of the threat of IRGC here in our soil. Their mission is to make a global Islamic state, seeing how they use mosques to radicalize people.
Right, as you guys know, we are having a massive crisis in this country when it comes to national security, the British culture being in danger, and the safety of our nation. And that's mainly because our enemies are now bringing their fight right here, whether it's the CCP or the Iranian regime. Now, in this video, we have a special guest, a pro-freedom politician, which is quite rare these days, Councillor Mahyar, to talk about the influence of the Iranian regime in the United Kingdom. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now joined by the Councillor Mahyar, one of the sound freedom fighters in Britannia. She's also married to Vahid Beheshti. We've mentioned Vahid before, who is also a freedom fighter who went on a hunger strike outside the Foreign Office for 73 days, I believe. And obviously, it spread the message about the influence of the Iranian regime in the West. Welcome to the show, Mahyar. How are you?
Hello, nice to see you, Mahyar, and hello to all the viewers.
So, firstly, how is your husband? How is he feeling? Because obviously he did go on for a long time in terms of the hunger strike until the doctors said it's probably best for him to stop for now. How's his health and how is the campaign going?
So, yes, after 72 days, the ambulance came in because he had signs in his body that he couldn't continue. So, he had spent 2 weeks in hospital. Following that, he had some rest, but obviously, as everybody knows, his call was the reason he was on hunger strike, calling for UK government to put IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, into the list of terrorist organization here in UK. So he felt, the reason he wanted to be on a hunger strike to really highlight this and highlight to our public, British public, the threat of IRGC here in our UK. So, as you know, there has been over 15 attempts of assassination in the last 8 months reported by MI5 here in UK by Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And so he still feels that that call, he needs to continue with the campaign, but he's physically not fit enough to continue with the hunger strike. But there is a continued sitting strike that is over 100 days now.
Wow.
Him and his supporters outside of Foreign Office still calling for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard to be put into the list of terrorist organizations.
So, when it comes to this issue, like many other problems that happened in this country, especially when it comes to um, people from different countries, sometimes people say, well, this is not our problem, we shouldn't really get involved. But in this situation, it's actually our problem, mainly because it's the British national security. The Iranian regime is not just their fight, they're bringing their fight here. And sometimes in the name of fake illegal asylum seekers, but in fact they're actually linked to the Iranian regime. They come here via boats and many other places, and they're putting our people, British people, at risk, right?
Exactly. This is why my husband went on hunger strike. He's a journalist and he's been covering news about Iran human rights violation, not just inside of Iran, with the proxy wars of funding Hezbollah and Hamas, destabilizing the Middle East. And we've seen witness the drones that they're helping Russia to kill Ukrainians. Let me just tell you something, and to the viewers. Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps was created 44 years ago after Iran went on to a revolution in 1979. And the main purpose of them was to protect the Iran Islamic Revolution and to make a global Islamic state around. So their mission is to make a global Islamic state. That's what their mission is. And they've never felt short on their mission. They are continuing their mission, and what they say, if they always act on it. And so that's why is IRGC, I will say in short,
Mm.
are everywhere around the world, and their mission is to protect the revolution inside of Iran. And if anyone speaks against them, to assassinate them, or do activities against, like we saw what happened to Salman Rushdie,
Yep.
where after 30 years he got attacked by IRGC. And their terror activities, they're known for terrorists. I mean, in US, they are put into the list of terrorist organization, and still we have not actioned this here. And one thing is so important is that they are taking our freedom of
Mm.
speech here. When a TV station, Iran International TV station, was based in London, in Chiswick, after the threats that they had to relocate to Washington. And Metropolitan Police said, we can't really protect you.
Yeah.
Uh, that gave a sign, a message to the regime that, we can do whatever. And this is why it's so important for everyone's security
Mm.
here in Britain,
Yeah.
because we notice, I've seen how they use mosques to radicalize people, the way they use the same ideology that they have forced people inside of Iran, they export it here. There's a center called Al Mustafa University. They have 60 centers around the world, and one of them is linked to the Maida well, which recently, I don't know whether you've used new, but after 3 years of investigation, this mosque was the charity commissioner appointed somebody to go and investigate,
Yeah.
um, because of their activity, because they were holding vigils of terrorists
Yeah.
inside of, Qasem Soleimani. And so after 3 years, they appointed a lady to go and investigate. And what we saw last week, the mosque himself, they made a statement, they closed the mosque down, and they said this is an act of Islamophobia. I think this is nothing to do with Islam. They use Islamophobia each time when
As
they
usual.
don't have an answer to people, so that they say, oh, but, don't make any comment because you'll become Islamophobic. Let me just tell you something about hijab, because in Iran they kill people wearing hijab. Um, it doesn't say anywhere in Quran women need to wear hijab in the Quran, so they don't even practice their religion, but they kill people because they don't wear a hijab, or they think it's part of the Islamic law.
Yes. No, that's absolutely spot on. But on the issue
Sorry,
of
I'm just
yeah, no,
going
yeah.
off the points. I'm
No,
sorry.
but on the issue of the influence of the Iranian regime and the Revolutionary Guard in the West and everywhere, obviously considering that the Western governments, like in America and in Britain and France, got a lot of accusations back in the 70s for essentially allowing that coup to happen to the and would overthrow the Shah at the time. Now it seems like it is at least at best complacency from our Foreign Office and many others that the people are demanding for them to stop treating Iran as a normal country, and essentially you're supporting this illegitimate regime. But right now, there's also influence inside our own establishments. We just heard that 11 universities, at least in this country, are helping develop drones and other technologies for Iran. And what is going on in our woke universities, and why is no one talking about this?
I'm so glad this report came out. I'm so glad it's only came out yesterday. This shows the influence of the Iranian regime everywhere and in our universities. This is demonstrate. This is the first time evidence come out. Top 11 university helping the regime of Iran to create killer drones.
Yeah.
And we have witnessed, we've seen that Iran is helping Russia to kill Ukrainians while we're spending billions of pounds to support Ukrainians
Mm.
against Russia. Iran is
Yeah.
actually helping Russia. So this is really, I think I'll really ask people in your show to go and research, look at these documents that's come out. It was in Jewish Chronicle,
Yeah.
and they need to see all the evidence of how the universities are actually supporting it. I don't know whether they directly know, but obviously the evidence is
Yeah.
there that the regime is using it.
Yeah, I mean that's the fascinating part. The whole of the establishment were completely clueless, at least, including our own parliament until recently. Over the last year, thanks to you guys and everybody else who put pressure on our MPs, finally we're now seeing some MPs coming out in support of freedom and democracy. And what's the update on that? Because I believe recently in the House of Commons we've had some debates about it. We had some MPs who supported your husband Vahid in terms of the hunger strikes. We had Alicia Kearns and many others. So What's happening? Is the tide turning? Is Parliament going to be actually doing something for once?
So I'll be honest with you. Since my husband been on hunger strike, there's been a cross-party support on actually calling for UK government to prescribe IRGC, and there was a debate back in 12th of January that it was a debate on IRGC, and nobody disagreed on it that IRGC should not be put into the list of terrorist organization.
Apart from Jeremy
And
Corbyn, maybe.
probably. I mean, he wouldn't, at this stage, he probably wouldn't say anything publicly about it. I mean, 125 MPs, peers, cross-party, wrote a letter on behalf of Wahid when he was on hunger strike to Rishi Sunak, because before he became a prime minister, that's what he said he would prescribe IRGC. So that part, we have had support. And 2 days ago in Parliament, there was a debate on Iran, and everybody knows how brutal this regime is. Everyone's calling, when are we going to act on it? They acknowledge they're terrorists. And what it was highlighted in the debate, the level of human rights violation taking place inside of Iran, how this IRGC is now helping with drug trafficking, human trafficking, illegal human trafficking, and apart from threatening people like myself and my husband who's speaking out against these people for our lives, that's what they're doing. I have to watch my shoulder as a councillor, as a servant of this country in Britain. For my residents, I have to watch my shoulder because of the threat of IRGC here in our soil. And that's why my husband, as a journalist, like what you do, but he was covering Pacific news inside of Iran, what was going on, and he's had death threats. This is not acceptable. This is taking our security away. Not only they threaten Iranian people's security inside of Iran, they have come to our soil and they're taking our security away from us. And the debate was highlighting that. The MPs were calling and actually acknowledging that this regime, how brutal it is, we need to change. And the call is that UK government needs to prescribe Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Yeah, it is quite tough, considering there's lack of actual support from governments around the world for the Iranian people in Iran. They continue their fights. Again, also considering the lack of media attention, really, they still continue to fight. And over the last, to be fair, a lot of people think the whole thing started a year ago, but actually it's been going on at least since 2017, when they started initially the new wave of rebellion. And now we've got the younger generation that in 2009, when they had the Green Movement and the rigged election with Ahmadinejad, these people were kids. And now they're the ones leading the movement against the mistake that happened with the coup in 1979. Any last few words, Matty?
I just think with the place, the world we live in nowadays, what happens over there has a direct effect in us. We can't live and say, if someone gets executed in Iran, why should we talk about it? It doesn't have an impact. We are now seeing that these people, as you mentioned, for years fighting for freedom, we're
Yeah.
hearing that Iran has got the highest number of execution per capita in the world. But the same people who are executing are now walking in our streets in London. This is a problem that we have, that we need to call them, and that we need to call them out. And we should not go with appeasing policy anymore. With dictators, you need to be firm and take strong leadership. And we should stop any appeasement policy, because, you can't change their nature. For 44 years, people try to do diplomatic ways, sit around the table. It hasn't changed. And this time around, I think different actions need to be taken against these terrorists.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much to Councillor Matty Evan for joining us. We will continue to expose these nutters, even if the mainstream media are slightly behind us. Thank you guys for all the support. Make sure to share this video everywhere. I'm Mahyar, and we are the media.